Here's the thing, if you clicked on this video, you probably have a suspicion that your coworker is trying to sabotage you, or at minimum, just doesn't like you. Or maybe that's not the case. What I'm going to tell you though, is I guarantee at some point in your career, you're going to run across someone who wants to run you over, who wants to sabotage your career, who wants to make you look like an idiot, maybe take opportunities from you. And all I have to say is, not on my watch. But my name's Emily Durham. I'm a careers coach, a careers content creator, and my goal is to help you thrive in your 9-to-5 and beyond. By the end of this video, I promise you're going to know what to look out for to avoid getting trapped by a toxic or sabotaging coworker, and most importantly, how to avoid getting stuck in one of those said traps. I got my little list on my phone, and before you say like, oh, it's so obvious when someone's trying to sabotage you, no, those are the people who are bad at sabotage. The ones who are good, you might not see it coming. Okay, so the first thing is someone who withholds information. Someone who withholds information that is important for you to do your job is not playing dumb. They're not forgetful. 9 times out of 10, they're doing it on purpose, and they're doing it so you look bad. Here's an example. Let's say you're working on a project and you have to put together a visual deck, like a slide deck for these people, right? And they're telling you everything you need to do. You're working on the slide deck. 2 days later, which by the way is now 2 hours before the deadline, they say everything has to be pink and blue. And you're like,
you didn't tell me that. Nothing I've built is pink and blue.
I'm going to need more time. And they say, well, I communicated the deadline. And suddenly it's your issue, not theirs. It's too late for you to backtrack. You are the person who is on the hook. People hoard information to try to keep their jobs. So there are people, let's say, who's worked at a company for like 30 years. They know everything. And they only tell you just what you need to know to get things done, but not enough for you to actually grow at the company. Why? Because they know if they get fired, all of that historical information leaves with them. And that's their only leverage because they're not confident in their actual skills. So keep an eye out. At this, every single time you get one of these asks, go through stuff in detail. If you need to, throw it into your AI platform of choice and say, what other requirements should I be asking about? Because this coworker has a habit of not including information, go back and ask. I encourage you to get everything in writing. Don't trust what they say on the surface. Move with a little bit more skepticism. Misrepresentation of work. Now this shows up in a couple ways. One of the most common that fucking grinds my gears, it makes me so annoyed, is when someone takes credit for your work and they're like, we did this, our team did this. No bitch, I did it. But now that we're in front of the executives, suddenly you had something to do with this? Okay. It's also people who only take credit for the parts of the project that do well. But one of the sneakiest things is misrepresenting the intention of your words. And I've seen this happen a few times. I'm going to give you a real example of what I've seen at work. Let's say you talk to this coworker about a project that you're working on, and the vendor that you're working with is really slow to respond. It's not the end of the world, but you're like, I need them to pick up the pace. So you might say to this toxic coworker, let's call her Susan. Fuck, I'm always picking on a Susan. So let's say you go to Susan and you say, hey, I've got the project done. I've noticed the vendor's taking a few days to respond. Is there any way we can get them to kind of pick up the pace? I just want to make sure we don't fall behind. You're not talking shit, you're not being nasty. Susan then goes to the vendor meeting with you and says, Emily mentioned you guys have been moving pretty slowly. What's the holdup? And you're like, ooh, that wasn't as hostile as I was saying it. The truth is, when people like Susan do stuff like this, it's not a little communication error, which is what they'll say if you try to call them out on it. It's actually them being very manipulative and very calculated. So what you're not gonna do is, no, I didn't say that. What you're gonna do in situations like this is hop in and reframe. Thanks for bringing that up, Susan. What I had noticed was blah, 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 blah. So I shared with Susan, blah, 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 blah. You let them know, here's what I said, here's what Susan said, but you frame it in that way and you're fine. If you're noticing this toxic coworker is going to your boss being like, Emily was so hungover because she saw you post a glass of wine on your Instagram story the night before, even if you were hungover, not her business, you need to create boundaries. This person can't have access to your social media. Don't tell them what you do in your personal life, and speak with so much intention and rigor that everything you say is like, it's like political. It's like, you know how politicians speak in a very buttoned up, you know, this is the fact, this is this, in a clear way so it's hard to misconstrue. And they do that to avoid risk of news outlets twisting their words. You actually need to start thinking like that with these people because they're not. Next one up, winner, winner, chicken dinner. Love this one. Publicly undermining you. But when I was like 19 or 20, I would often have people do this where they would cut me off, and as I was saying something, they would actually just repeat what I was saying, but then get credit for it. or everything I said, they had to be like, well, that's not always true. And it's like not even a relevant fact that they're sharing. People who publicly, so in front of groups, in front of important people, have to undercut what you're saying by invalidating the fact that you're sharing, invalidating the experience that you're sharing, cutting you off with your words, not giving you credit, kind of similar to point number one. That's undermining you. They're doing little subtle jabs to make you seem less credible to other people. They might even say things like, well, you weren't always a great speaker, so it's good that you just did that presentation well. Oh, well, you always said you weren't good with numbers, so I was just surprised they put you on this project. Stuff like that, whether it's one-on-one or public, don't get it twisted. That's not them being naive. That's not them being like, I don't know, a little coy. No, like that's intentional. When people do stuff like that, and you go like, whoa, it's intentional. Their intention is to establish dominance over you and to make other people think you are less credible than you are. Now take it as a compliment. Okay? It's actually a compliment. When people treat you like that, it is a compliment because they wouldn't be doing that if they weren't intimidated by you. Notice that your coworker goes for lunches with other people and doesn't invite you, or purposely goes for those lunches or coffee breaks when they know you're busy so that you're constantly left out. If that's happening all the time and it's not like innocent and because you guys genuinely don't have scheduling alignment, it is highly likely they are trying to like psychologically isolate you and make you feel unwanted, plant seeds of insecurity. And you might be thinking, Emily, no one's that manipulative. Okay, maybe no one is. I don't think people do this consciously, like on a conscious level. This person's not waking up trying to be evil to you, but people treat you how they treat themselves. And subconsciously, they are most likely intimidated by your value, your worth, and the quality of your work. And their subconscious is driving them to do these insecurity behaviors, including socially isolating you. Having small talk with other people at the coffee room and not doing that with you. Messaging other people and doing that with you. Having to say, oh, I'm so close with this person. Yeah, Bob was telling me about his kid's pool party, blah, blah, blah. Them asserting that they're closer to people than you is in fact a manipulation tactic. That is the reality of the situation. How you navigate this, and I know this is so grating and annoying, we are unbothered. We let them. Another telltale sign that someone is trying to sabotage you is by micromanaging you, especially when they're not your manager. I am a big believer that micromanaging is actually a symptom that someone is very insecure, because if you were confident in yourself, you wouldn't need to be like hyper gripping everything around you. You would trust the quality of your work and therefore by extension the quality of the people around you. A true micromanager, like that one coworker who's constantly messaging you and saying, what's the update on this? Or this team's up. They're trying to create distance from the work, the deliverables, the clients and you. They're trying to be seen as the face and the person who gets to drive things forward, because when they go to their manager and they say, wow, Emily did a great job with that project, instead of her having to say, yes, Emily's good at her job, she gets to say, yeah, well, I pushed that forward quite a bit. Yeah, I really made that happen. Do you see what I'm saying? It's the subtle stuff. It's like the little digs that make you look less qualified than them, but they're actually just playing a snide, nasty game. So what you do with this, if you've got that micromanager, get everything they need from you in writing. And if it becomes a problem, don't go to them, because people like this, say it with me, not normal. What you're gonna do is go to your boss and say, hey, I'm noticing that Susan's checking in quite a bit for project updates. I just wanted to check in. Is this in the scope of work? Any feedback for me? What your boss is gonna understand from this is, okay, Susan's doing a bit much. And if everything's going smooth and fine with your work itself, realistically, all your boss is going to do is either go to Susan or go to Susan's manager, or they'll give you a script to follow or advice on how to talk to Susan. Once you have your boss or your manager in your corner, you're good, because you can't get blindsided. What you don't want to do is go up to Susan and be like, listen, bitch. Because again, people like this don't react logically. They don't operate from logic, they operate from insecurity. It is not the same. And finally, they're an email warrior. I hate an email warrior. How dare you? Specifically someone who CCs your manager on everything, because it automatically, that like asserts dominance. Typically in the corporate world, when you are CCing or including a manager in an email thread, it's either because they have to see it or approve something, which is fine, or they're doing it to say, hey, I don't trust your employee, the manager needs to be looped into this. And if someone is constantly looping in your manager for like day-to-day shit for your role, what they're really doing is trying to signal to your manager, I don't trust this bitch. And reply all the first couple times. Then you're gonna go to your boss and say, hey, I've noticed Susan keeps looping you in. Would you like to stay on those threads? Just wanna make sure your inbox is comfortable. Then your boss will say, yeah, take me off. And you go to Susan, hey, I spoke to my boss. She's good not having, being on the threads. Because what you're saying is, not today, girl. And if you have any questions about your specific career or your life, this is literally what I do. I'm so passionate about careers and self-advocacy. I actually have a podcast that goes live every Sunday. It's not on YouTube, although maybe it should be, but I post it on podcasting networks where I actually answer your questions every single week. So if you have any specific questions, click that link in the description. If not, let me know what videos you want to see here, what questions you have in the comments. I'm good with anything. And if there's certain videos, things that are popping up, or styles of videos you're loving lately, let me know. I tend to be very like FaceTime vibes, no bullshit, talk right to the camera. That's very much the vibe I have generally. I'm a softie, but I'm a hardie when it comes to making money. I really don't like when people mess around with me professionally. But anyways, all to say, very happy that you are here. Thank you for your time, and I will talk to you in the next one.